Brothers and sisters, what did you learn last week? You learned that at the throne of the Most High, there's pillars, there's a tessellated floor. Remember we showed the Michael Jackson really walking as an angel with the floor lightening up where the stones of fire, right? Have you ever wondered what exactly do the East Indians who come over here with they have their Dunkin' Donuts, they have these certain stores, 7-Eleven, all these things carved out for them in which they cornered the market that none of us can get? Look at the screen right here and tell me, what does this look to you? Move that over this way. Look at this here. What does that look to you? What have they been doing in their church? Huh? We got you. We see the throne at the top? The Holy of Holies? And look at the floor they're on, brothers and sisters. These are your doctors that are coming inside your hospitals, killing you off on purpose.
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare.
They say Krishna, Krishna. Krishna is Satan, folks. Another name for Satan. Samael is a name, but the East Indians call Satan Krishna.
Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Now you notice that it tells us in Enoch at the tessellated floor, you would have the angels, which were the stones of fire. So they're acting like they are the angelic forces on earth. A high Masonic church ritual every week under, you got it, on their holy days, their satanic holy days, on the tessellated floor.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
They all.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
See that?
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
I tell you what, it's not the electric slide. I tell you, if it was Jake, we would put a whole new spin on this.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
They off.
Blood on the dance floor.
Blood on the dance floor. They had the tessellated floors. Same thing. Exactly. When you get a chance, look at Michael Jackson's Blood on the Dance Floor. Now, some people might ask, well, why are we playing this? Folks, it's about to blow you away. Now, think about what I showed you earlier with Barack Obama. With Barack Obama going to the pyramids. And that context of Satan being the cause of the fall of Adam and Eve through the tree of good and evil. And I'm going to show you how it comes full circle. One moment. Elder Lloyd.
Yes, sir.
Now, let's now go to the serpent deceiving Adam and Eve.
Book of Genesis chapter 3.
Because don't forget, he didn't tell Eve not to partake. Adam, Satan, the Most High told Adam not to partake. This was before the woman was pulled out of him. Okay? So the Most High himself didn't tell her not to do so. Adam told her, well, no, we can't go in there. We can't touch that tree over there. That's a bad tree. Right? So, I'm going to show you the trickery of Satan. Right? And I'm going to use this as an example of what not to do for any of us going forward. When you know in your conscience what you're about to partake or what you're thinking of is wrong, but now you just need someone to confirm to you through logic that it's all right to do. Okay? You just need someone to confirm with you that you can still do it and not suffer any consequences for it. And some of us do that. We know there's a gray area in this relationship or whatever we're about to get into. But now we just need an answer to go through with it and not have our conscience accuse us. Okay? If there's a question about it, 9 times out of 10, it's wrong. Because through the Holy Spirit, it's initially correct. You don't have to ask a question when it comes to something pure, innocent, good. You usually have to answer a question or ask a question on whether or not you can do something if there's a gray area in it. Okay? So Satan was able to utilize that gray area. Right? Let's read.
Genesis chapter 3, verse number 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, have God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
Did he tell you, Eve? Or did he tell Adam? See? See that gray area? He told Adam not to touch it. And he's like, yeah, he didn't tell me. Adam, that's Adam. See? So now she can be absolved through what? She can be absolved through knowing that, okay, she has a built-in excuse now. And this is that spirit, like I tell brothers and sisters over and over again. This is that spirit of when someone claimed it was a misunderstanding. That's the back door. They're on their way out now. They got a way out. If they can have you agree to there was no intent, this was a total innocent misunderstanding. After all chaos and hell done broke loose at the hands of this person. That's how you get out without apologizing. So now she has a built-in excuse, Elder Lloyd. She automatically, all right, it's a misunderstanding. You said, okay, my fault. Nothing gets under my skin more so than anything when someone, after creating chaos, will say it's a misunderstanding. You got the devil in you. You had an intent. This is no misunderstanding. A misunderstanding is saying that I'm wrong and you're wrong too. And there's no right in this. So, and if you don't apologize and get this correct, I can almost expect you to do a lot of misunderstandings going forward. Now I'm showing with the spirit of misunderstanding coming at. And y'all, a lot of you sitting there going, yeah. Don't you hate it when you know someone started something and they got away because now it's just a misunderstanding? Oh, I thought you said that you know what someone said. You got caught. That's the devil right there. And I'm not talking about the person. I'm talking about the spirit that has their vessel. They're looking for an out. Oh, okay, I thought you said that's why I confronted straight. I tell you straight. No, don't sideways me with stuff. Okay? You straight. No misunderstandings. That's Eve, folks. That's what happened there. Read it again.
Genesis 3 and 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field.
Now we know this serpent is Satan. Read.
Which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
Now, how do we know this is Satan? Because you have some people out there with Jewish fables claiming that this is the white man. No, this is Satan. Let's go down to Revelation 12 and 9 real quick. 12 and 1, 12 and 3, and then 12 and 9 for me.
Revelation 12 verse 9. And the dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil.
Called who?
Called the devil.
That's the devil in the garden, folks. Devil means deceiver. Read.
And Satan.
And who?
And Satan.
And Satan. Another Satan and Samael is a Satan because there's many Satans. So we're dealing with the serpent Samael right here. Read.
Which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
And his what?
And his angels were cast out with him.
So Adam and Eve weren't alone. The host of heaven, 1/3 of them were in the earth, and that congealed ball of ice. And that's where they get the concept of not only just Atlantis, but before Atlantis, Antarctica, where the cities were built out of ice. These were angels that were in that concealed ball of ice for a time. The crystal cities inside the earth were Satan and his angels. Samael is one name for him. The devil is another name for him. And Krishna is a name for him. You have many names. Read.
Verse number 2. And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it.
Come on.
Neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die.
Lest ye die. Read.
Verse 4. And the serpent said
Now
unto the woman.
Now, when he says die, lest ye die, keep in mind that the Most High made man and woman originally to be immortal. That's what the tree of life was for. Death is a curse that came through disobedience. See? So it's time we began to view death entirely different. Because if you view it correctly, the fear of death has no more power over you. You weren't meant to die. In Christ, we are eternal. Okay? Satan have hijacked that spiritual truth to begin his masonry initiation by showing through technology and all that information that would have them know only someone who was there could be able to do some of the things we're witnessing. So through his technology, he have deceived the so-called ministers under Freemason. He've given them technology, a window into understanding how the heavenly realm works, how it looks, given them technology that have progressed society, see, and have deceived them. But the first deception was that was done to our father and mother by him. Because why? Don't forget, the Most High gave man dominion. And in order for Satan to get dominion, Adam had to do what? Open the door and volunteer his dominion, or relegate, a better word, his dominion. when Adam fell by default, who would become God or the dominator or the architect of this world? Satan. See? Read.
Yes, sir. If I can read this real quick.
Come on.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 23. In fact, I'll start in verse 22. As for the mysteries of God, they knew them not, neither hoped they for the wages of righteousness, nor discerned a reward for blameless souls. For the Most High made man to be immortal, and made him to be an image of his own eternity. Nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world, and they that do hold of his side do find it.
Exactly. Death is a creation in this realm due to disobedience. Outside of this realm, where the heavens are, death has no power. We were made from the immortal, made to be immortal. Death is a curse. So now, no one can actually scare me into compromising my allegiance to the Almighty. Because what you can do to the body means absolutely nothing at all. Because why? If I'm in Christ, you will see me again, and I will see you in judgment. And see, and that's the mindset the Most High want for the righteous. That's the perspective we must now cleave to. Okay? Because the fear of death is going to have you compromise you, your family, your children, and everyone you know. And then after you compromise, they're going to kill you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
See? They're going to kill you anyway after you compromise.
Mm-hmm.
And then you because at the end of it, after betrayal, you have to live in your conscience with that betrayal. Can you imagine what happened with Judas? When it all came together, the gravity of his decision to give up the Son of the Almighty. Christ says, man, it would have been better if he wasn't even born. He was better off in heaven. His spirit was better off with the Father to have come to this earth and betrayed the first begotten of the Father. He have lost any opportunity for immortality through betrayal. See, when you understand this, and you understand the gravity and levity and the spiritual understanding of this word, folks, it takes away the fear. It takes it away. They can't move you through fear. See, and this is why Satan at the very end set up women over men. Because the nature of a woman is to be what? Agreeable. Agreeable. It's not their fault. It's just part of the nature that the Most High made a woman to be a helpmeet with the man. In order to be a helpmeet with a man, she had to have been made agreeable. No, a man, a real man, is like, well, no, I disagree, let's fight. Okay? That's how the Most High made a man in his image. The Most High is a man of war. We're less agreeable. See? And this is why he was able to get to Eve. The Bible says, give nature. And we'd be like, well, hold up, women is women. No, you can't get mad at a woman's nature. The woman was made to be a helpmeet to a man. It's just that Satan exploits their weakness. He exploits their weakness. See? Go ahead, other lawyer. What you got? Come on.
Yes, sir. It's a little bit more on the immortality. The book of Wisdom of Solomon 3:1.
Yes.
But the souls of the righteous are in the hand of God, and there shall no torment touch them. In the sight of the unwise, they seem to die. and their departure is taken for misery. And their going from us to be utter destruction, but they are in peace. For though they be punished in the sight of men, yet is their hope full of immortality. And having been a little chastised, they shall be greatly rewarded. For the Most High proved them, and found them to be worthy for himself, as gold is tried in the furnace, and have received them as a burnt offering.
Can you imagine that, though? Read that last piece again.
Yes, sir. Verse 4. For though they be punished in the sight of men,
Though we be punished in the sight of men,
yet is their hope full of immortality.
but our hope is full of immortality. We're not looking to what to our end according to this life. And that's what made Christ's victory at Calvary so great. All the shame that it would take all the way until he was made immortal. Because he's seen the end of it. He didn't see the death as the end. It was the beginning. It was freeing him, giving him full power to take now hell and the keys to hell and to sit on a throne next to his Father in full power. Read.
Verse 5.
Check this out.
And having been a little chastised,
So even though we went through captivity, a little chastised.
they shall be greatly rewarded, for the Most High proved them.
Because why? The Most High reproved us. We went through the test. When most would have just rejected him. Read.
And found them worthy for himself.
And then through that reproving, captivity, slavery, inequality, he found what?
Found them worthy for himself.
He found people worthy to be called sons and daughters. That's my son right there. Check him out. That's my daughter right there. Check her out. They're worthy. Can you imagine our Father at the throne looking down on us and saying, you know what? You rough around the edges, but you know, I'm proud of you. Like, look, they'd be like, oh, the angels come up and like, Lord, I want to tell you what they're thinking right now, and I don't know. He's like, listen, he's doing good. Help him. Don't let him go off. Help him. Help her. I'm proud of this one. I'm proud of that one. Can you imagine that conversation in the heavens for you? I mean, those are the things that gets me up sometimes when I'm like, today I don't really feel like it. Man, it gets me up. Like, listen, Satan and his ministers are working. I need you on the battlefield. And I think about this and I'm like, you know what? Let's go. Let's rumble. Come on.
Verse 6. As gold in the furnace hath he tried them, and have received them as a burnt offering. And in the time of their visitation they shall shine and run to and fro like sparks among the stubble. They shall judge the nations.
They shall what?
They shall judge the nations.
One of the tenets in the book of Hebrews. We were made to judge nations. Read.
And have dominion over the people.
And have dominion over all people. We were meant to do that. We were made for that. Read.
And their Lord shall reign forever.
And our Messiah will reign forever. Let's go back to Eve now.
Book of Genesis chapter 3, verse number 4.
Come on.
And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die.
You're not going to die.
For God doeth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
You shall be as what?
Ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
So common sense will tell us there that if Adam and Eve is the first man and woman, who are the other beings on earth? Well, Satan himself is telling you. It's the gods. You shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. We're here. We're with you. We're on earth here. Just like the angels in heaven. They know good and evil because they've seen Lucifer and 1/3 of the angels hurled to the deep, hurled to this realm. You follow me, I'll teach you everything. Now, these are the same caveats or carrots Satan used to recruit people in Freemasonry. The Kabbalah is the teaching of the tree of good and evil. See? We're dropping things on you, folks, because it's best that you look at this world from the outward view. This is what the Masons be teaching their initiates. But we're supposed to view the world how the Most High see it. And our participation is to do what? Pull the righteous onto Christ's side as participants. Everything Satan is doing is understanding the original construct from heaven. The plan Christ would have in the heavens to build the judges who would judge Satan and his angels. Now, we know how the story goes. She eventually gave it to Adam. Right? Adam now and Eve realize that they're naked. They clothe themselves. And then Yeshua, which is the who intercedes for the Most High, notice that they have clothed themselves before they were given the knowledge of clothing themselves. Just like a child. They went straight from not knowing anything to knowing that they were naked. So obviously, the Most High, through Christ, realized that they were being taught. In order for them to be taught, outside of the progression the Most High had for them, they had to have partaken of that tree of good and evil. Let's go straight to the cool of day, Elder Lawyer.
It's the book of Genesis chapter 3, verse number, let's see.
Now we're going to jump through this, because I'm going to keep it on Adam and Eve, because there's a lot I need to cover with the fallen angels.
In verse number 8.
Come on.
And they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God amongst the trees of the garden. And the Lord God called unto Adam and said unto him, Where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. And he said, Who told thee that thou wast naked?
I didn't teach you this. I didn't teach you this yet. See? The example I can give, and parents would understand this. You raise a child under the traditions and values that you learned, okay? And automatically, out of nowhere, you can see a difference when education or some knowledge has happened from the outside of your home. Automatically. All the days of the life, all the days coming up when you raise your child, you come upstairs, nothing was out of place. And one day you come upstairs and the door is shut. Now, wisdom tells me something has been introduced to my child. Not once in my existence as I was raising this child, did they feel a need, or he or she felt a need to close the door? Immediately, that's a sign for a father or mother who's intuitive, or who's actually having, have some type of connection with their children and are not just disconnected like we are today. You go upstairs, that door's shut, automatically okay, something has been introduced. They had on clothes. They covered themselves with the fig leaves. Okay, they took, oh my goodness. They fell. Read.
Verse number 11. And he said, Who told thee that thou wast naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat?
Come on.
And the man said, The woman that thou gavest me to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat.
Come on.
Verse 13. And the Lord God...
She did it to me.
Mm-hmm.
Passing the buck. Read.
Verse 13. And the Lord God said unto the woman, What is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat.
Come on.
And the Lord said unto the serpent, Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go,
Slither.
and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life.
Dust shall thou eat all the days of your life. So when you see a snake, that's an example. That's a sign of the creature that was cursed. Okay? Because the angelic powers can do what? They can take form, or they can go into animals. Okay? So the Most High did what? He slithered that so-called, what they call a flying, fiery cockatrice in the scriptures, and made it where now it doesn't fly. It's on his belly. Snakes. Read.
Verse number 15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head.
I shall put enmity between the woman, between thy seed. Here we go. Tracing the serpent seed. Between thy seed and her seed. Read it again.
And I will put enmity between thee and the woman.
Thee, Satan, and the woman. Now you're thinking in your mind, well, he's talking about Eve right here. No, he's not. He's already cursed Eve. This now it's speaking of put enmity between serpent's seed, his what? His bloodline on earth. A seed comes through a man's loins. Satan's seeds and what? The woman's seed. Because keep in mind, can women bear seed? So this is something deeper than Eve. This is speaking of enmity between a bloodline under Satan against the Most High's bloodline. The woman represents the 12 tribes of Israel. God's woman. The Most High, Ahiah's woman. Revelation 12 and 1. Let's read it.
Revelation 12, verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet.
A woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet. Read.
And upon her head a crown of 12 stars.
Of what?
A crown of 12 stars.
That 12 stars of the woman represents what? The 12 tribes of Israel. I will put enmity between the serpent seed and my woman. The 12 stars. The 12 tribes of Israel. There will be a clash, a war in this earth until Christ saves them. A war between Satan's seed and my chosen seed. That woman is Israel. Another precept, Elder Lloyd.
Yes, sir. Isaiah 54, verses 5 and 6.
Come on.
For thy maker is thine husband.
Because our maker is what?
Thine husband.
Is our husband. That's why when Christ come back, he's coming back. He's what? The bridegroom. He's coming back to marry Israel, who was put away through disobedience. So that baptism makes us a chaste virgin unto Christ, so that he can now marry upon his coming. Are you following me here? Read.
And thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, the God of the whole earth shall he be called. For the Lord hath called thee as a woman forsaken.
As a woman forsaken. The whole earth has forsaken us. And the Most High calling us as a woman forsaken. Most people out there believe God hath forsook us. No, he hasn't. We're being tried, like Elder was reading earlier, so that now he can pick out the chosen amongst the rest. Look at her. Look at him, see? Majority of the earth would have turned their back on me a long time ago, but look at him holding my word. Look at her standing through adversity. Read.
For the Lord hath called thee as a woman forsaken and grieved in spirit, and a wife of youth.
A wife of youth.
When thou wast refused, saith thy God.
When the whole world rejected us, he still loved us. Even till this day. He loves us. I will put enmity between the serpent seed and the woman seed. There will be a war. Spiritual on every level throughout the earth's generations until Christ returns. Between the serpent seed and the children of Israel. Now, finish reading what you got, Elder Lloyd.
Genesis chapter 3, verse 16.
Come on.
Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow.
Now you, Eve, I'm going to multiply your sorrows. Worry. You'll have concerns when there's no need for them. In hopes of, if you do have concerns, you'll now depend and ask your husband before making decisions like this. See? Read.
I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception, and sorrow thou shalt bring forth children.
And also in sorrow you shall bring forth children.
And thy desire shall be to thy husband.
You would have an inordinate affection to desire your man at all times.
And he shall rule over thee.
And he shall rule over thee. It's not talking about someone going out outside getting a switch, beating his woman. And thinking that a woman is supposed to listen to you because you're a man. That's utterly ridiculous. Okay? No one, man or woman, follows folly. Follows folly. Foolishness. You're not going to get respect simply for being male. Okay? So that obedience we're talking about comes through power, not carnal power. The power that comes with the obedience when a man follows the Almighty. That's what puts a woman under subjection. Not just you being male, the God in you. She has no choice but to fall in line. Because deep in her, even if there's conflict, even if there's something she don't like about it, she knows that parameter is good for her long term. There's security in that. See? She's not obeying you because I'm the man around here. That's what's wrong. God, if you got to ask a woman to follow you because God said it, you in trouble. because that's the only reason she's doing it. It's not the power in you. that she's obeying. See? Read the scriptures with me. Look, read it. Like, listen, hey, you don't want to follow, that's fine. I'll do like Job. I'll pray for you. I'll pray for the children. I'll pray for you. I'm not going to force you. You ain't, the devil got you. No, it's okay. I'll pray. I love you, so I'll pray for you. And when you come around, I'm here. But when you see a guy saying, but I stayed up all night and I had the Bible here and you just turn around, you look at the devil. It doesn't work like that. It's the power in you to have that relationship with the Most High to a degree in which if she's not involved, she'll feel left out anyway. She'll be like, well, hold up. I need a moment with my man. Let me read with my man. Let me pray with my man because he's given everything to the Almighty. Now her desire is unto you because she knows that she don't have that place to move you because you've given all that. All that belongs to the Most High first because we were married or with the Most High first, not the other way around. So that's when the woman will desire the man because now this is the man that's connected with the Almighty. What you got, boy?
1 Peter 3, 6 through 7.
Come on.
Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well and are not afraid with any amazement. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge.
Dwell with a woman according to knowledge. Read.
Giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel.
Understand that she's not a man. Understand that automatically in certain areas the Most High made a woman weaker. And it's not to minimize the power of a woman or her strength. Okay? There's certain things when you go into the house, your wife would be like, can you lift and move that for me? That doesn't make her less than a woman. The Most High made you stronger. She's weaker in that area. So now you must have to find the other areas that the Most High made a man strong opposed to a helpmeet, a woman. That doesn't make her less. She's a woman. So you have to give honor to also the curse the Most High placed on her. And have empathy in those areas. And this is what all of us, I have to work on that. All men have to work on that. Have empathy. Understanding that she's carrying a lot of weight. Okay? She have to deal with the children. She have to plan things. She have to clean things. She have to do all, she have to make sure your behind is covered. Okay? So there's got to be a level of empathy there for her. And understanding that sometimes she worried uncontrollably. They'll go and pay bills that wasn't supposed to be paid. And you'd be like, listen, I just want to get on top of it. Men are 4, 5, 6 weeks behind. I'm like, I never met people trying to look for bills. But that's the difference. Like, we need to deal with it, like I'm doing a class, the difference between a man and a woman. It's like, it's left and right, but it works perfectly together.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But come on.
Going back to Genesis 3 and verse number 17.
Yeah.
And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife,
because you've listened,
and hast eaten of the fruit of the tree, or hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake, and sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. And the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground, for out of it wast thou taken, for dust thou art, and unto the dust shalt thou return.
Come on.
And Adam called his wife's name Eve because she was the mother of all living.
So Eve was the mother of all living. Right? Like you got a lot of Jewish fables out there. Adam was the first man. Eve was the first woman. Period. But you have philosophers out there who don't have the information because they don't go with the records the Most High gave to help the woman, and like it reads in Revelation 12. So they'll begin to philosophize and claim, well, there must have been people on earth if Cain went to Nod and got a wife. There must have been Adamites. That's where you get the Adamite philosophy from, with no proof. The only proof they have is to see that Cain got a wife. That's it. There must have been other people. He said, be fruitful and multiply. So there must have been other people, and Adam must have been a line out of that. That's a lie. It's a Jewish fable. It tells us in the book of Genesis 5, 1 through 4, that Adam, 800 years later, after having Seth, had sons and daughters. Also in the book of Jubilees. Let's read it real quick, Elder Lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get the book of Jubilees real quick. I thought that was actually in the document, isn't it?
It may be in there, but
yeah, let's get it.
I would search for it. I'll just do it.
Yeah, let's get it. A1.
Yes, sir.
Because I'm not going to go all the way into the Cain and Abel story, but I'm just going to give an overview real quick. Just type in A1 real quick and search. It'll come up. Got it?
Yes, sir.
You have it? Okay.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, we're in the book of Jubilees 6, and we're going to start at the first verse. Jubilees, it tells us in 2nd Esdras. Okay? I think it's what, 2nd Esdras 14, right?
Yes, 14 and 1.
Yeah, 14 and 1, where it says that he showed Moses much information in the burning bush, and the secrets of the times were given to Moses in 2nd Esdras 14. Well, the secrets of the times is breaking down the whole generation of this earth, from the beginning to judgment, according to the Jubilees written of in Scripture. So now it's going to chronicle Adam and Eve's children. Let's go straight to it. The book of Jubilees 6 and 1. Let's start there. 4 and 1. I'm sorry. 4 and 1.
The book of Jubilees, chapter 4, verse 1. And in the 3rd week, in the 2nd Jubilee, she gave birth to Cain. And in the 4th, she gave birth to Abel. And in the 5th, she gave birth to her daughter Awan.
To her what?
To her daughter Awan.
To her daughter Awan. Okay? And it tells you down here in the verses downward, read the 9th verse.
Mm-hmm.
Now after Cain disobeyed the Most High and brought vegetables instead of a what? A clean blood sacrifice. Why? Because there was a sacrifice that covered Adam and Eve's sins. So that's where they got those coats to cover them with before being placed out of the garden. Okay? So, and I'm going to get there in a moment. But because Cain didn't bring the right sacrifice, he got mad and angry and jealous and slain his own brother. So the Most High turned him over to Satan. Now Satan has a man from Adam and Eve to do what? To become the king of his first empire. And to bring daughters out of Cain that would do what? Produce Satan's seeds against us. First he needed the biology of a man to rule on earth. Cain became his man, the first king. Cain would have daughters now, and through that procreation between those daughters and the fallen angels, they would produce a new seed in the earth, Nephilim. Now these hybrids were born to war against us. I will put enmity between the serpent seed and the woman seed. But initially, Cain married who? Let's read the 9th verse, Elder Lloyd.
Jubilees 4, verse 9. And Cain took Awan, his sister, to be his wife, and she bare him Enoch at the close of the 4th Jubilee, and in the first year of the first week of the 5th Jubilee, houses were built.
Houses were built. The constructs of how to actually build things. That's why Satan is called on this earth the top mason or architect. That's when houses began to get built on earth, folks. Now, going back, he married Awan, his sister, totally destroying the philosophy of the Adamites that came. Because if you teach that Adam and Eve is not the first man and woman, you contradict the whole Bible's narrative. Because all through the Bible, it tells you Adam was the first. The first man was a living soul. The first Adam. And the second Adam, Christ, was a quickening spirit.
Mm-hmm.
All through the Bible, Adam is first. Eve is first. So if you begin to teach this Adamite philosophy, you go against the Bible in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And even the Bible, Genesis, the 5th chapter, tell you, Adam and Eve had sons and daughters.
Mm-hmm.
Case closed.
Mm-hmm.
But in Jubilees, we actually can give you more in-depth information, actually point out what daughter Cain married.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else, Elder Lloyd?
Just 2 quick ones. 1 Timothy 2:13. For Adam was first formed, then Eve.
Read it again.
For Adam was first formed, then Eve. Jumping over to 2 Ezra 6:54. And after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all. And the people also whom thou hast chosen.
That means every other people, all races come from Adam, and even the race, the woman seed, that the Most High has chosen. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you read 1 Corinthians 15:45, and so it is written, the first man, Adam, was made a living soul. I mean, are you kidding me? And you got the Israelites thinking they kicking something deep. Yeah, we had the Adamites. Listen, I sure would like to hear one of these stories of the Adamites. Adam needs mother and father. I need one story of these people you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not written up in the Bible, where are you getting it from? I know where they're getting it from. They're ill-informed. Their teachers aren't telling them that Adam and Eve had sons and daughters, so they're using process of elimination for doctrine. They're saying, well, it's only Cain and Abel, so where are the daughters? He married a woman and 9. And now you done brought up a whole pre-Adamite race because of that? Why don't you just figure out who that woman was Cain married? You done just conjured up a whole an Adamite pre-existing race that has no narrative in the Bible at all. But we know who was in the city. The gods were in the cities. Now Satan has his first king, Cain. Cain and Aswan would produce children. The daughters would now be used to do what? Let's get Genesis 6:4.
Genesis chapter 6, verse number 4.
Come on.
There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men.
The sons of God came in unto the daughters of men. What daughters? Cain's daughters in the city of Nod, Satan's capital. Boom! Serpent seed. See? Read.
And there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in.
And also after that. So after the flood, this would happen again. Let's go to Job, the first chapter, real quick.
Book of Job, chapter 1, verse number 6.
Come on.
Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them.
Now this proves beyond any shadow of a doubt that sons of God are angels. Not to say that people on earth aren't sons of God, but the first sons of God were the host of heaven before man was created. So when they try to play you on either side, no, I can show you scriptures where sons of God is Israel or man. Well, yes, you can show me that. That's not an argument or a debate. They are sons of God. But you got it. The original creation of the heavens has sons of God's too. Okay? They are actually our seniors in creation. Because all of the angels are known as the children of God. And that was before man and woman were made. They're his children. Read it.
Yes, sir. Job 38, verse 4. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding. Jumping down to verse number 6. Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened, or who laid the cornerstone thereof? When the morning stars sang together.
When the what?
When the morning stars sang together.
So before man or woman, whatever created, made, the morning stars, it says, where were you when I what?
Where wast thou, verse 4, where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding. Now
this is before man, folks, when the Most High laid the foundations of the earth and put the firmament in the heavens. There was no such man as Adam. So what happened during this time? Read.
Verse 7. When the morning stars sang together.
The morning stars are what? The singers in heaven every morning at the throne of the Almighty. Read.
And all the sons of God shouted for joy.
And all the sons of God shouted for joy. And that was before the Most High laid the foundations of the earth. Angels are being called sons of God. All right? So we know, based on what we looked at last week, right, that Enoch was translated and taken in the book of Hebrews for a specific purpose. It also tells us in Peter's 2 and 4 that the angels that sinned and left their first estate, that they're bound in hell. We read that last week. It was also stated in the book of Jude that the watchers left their first estate and came to this realm. And also that Enoch prophesied of these from the book of Jude, telling all of us that what? The disciples knew exactly what was going on in the spiritual realm concerning these enemies of God. And they were teaching this doctrine in the church so that our people, those in the church, wouldn't be subjected to demon possession. They would understand spiritual warfare against the serpent's seed. How many came to this earth, those sons of God? Let's go to the book of Enoch real quick. Let's go. Folks, what we're about to show you, some of it you've seen before, but what we're about to show you is going to blow your mind. Pass me that cup real quick, right there. You know what? Better yet, let me get that glass right there. Yeah. We about to do this elegant style. See that water? That's that heavenly stuff. Here you go, Lloyd. I appreciate you. How does this all come together, what we showed you earlier? With the East Indians at the floor. Folks, wait till you see what we're about to show you. These East Indians have been flying under the radar for a long time, all up in our business, with their singular focus of destroying us through their witchcraft and sorcery. Now, we've seen those Muslims, we operate and understand, okay, we understand a little bit of what they're about. But I'm going to tell you, these Hamites, these East Indians, folks, they're worshiping Satan right out in public. That dot on their head, when you go in certain stores and you're looking at, like, what's that dot on your head? And it's total silence. All this, folks, is mimicking themselves after the gods, the all-seeing eye, and they just straight Satanists. And if you think the racism in America is bad, like the caste system in India, folks, I'm gonna tell you that it's like law there. The caste system based on how light or dark you are. You can't even complain about it. Okay, you want to talk about some racism.
Even Gandhi, so-called holy man, okay, they say Martin Luther King got his philosophy from. Even he supported that caste system, the idea that black people should be subjugated to that type of caste system.
Gandhi was the devil. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me just put it out there. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Now, how many came down? You seen those movies, Paramount Pictures, where you see the stars coming at the movies? You see Denzel Washington movies come on with Paramount. You know it's going to be a blockbuster. Where it shows the stars coming through the heavens and then it rounds around the mountain. Paramount Pictures. And you're like, oh, let's get it in. What is that about? That mount is a gate between the heavenly and this earth. Okay? We're about to drop it on you. Hey, so, I'm thinking about my son. Hold that, lawyer. Mm-hmm. And I need you to grab real quick the Desert Dudayel. I need you to hold that. What? The 10th chapter. Okay, Thawada. Well, we got you there, so that's good. Right? Mm-hmm. Before we go there, right? Because I'm going to precept this thing up real nice for you. Let's first start in the book of Enoch, the 6th chapter. Let's go.
Book of Enoch, chapter 6, verse 1.
Come on.
And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied in those days, or had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters.
Come on.
And the angels, the children of the heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said one to another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. And Semjaza, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear you will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. And they all answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then swear they all, and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And they were in all 200 who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon.
How many? 200
who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon.
200 angels came down. Now, the original function for these angels, like the book of Jude tells us, where they left their first estate, they were watchers. So when the Most High says he made the stars for seasons, he made the stars for seasons and times, he goes into that, and then he says he made the stars also. So you have stars strictly for constellations. They break down the seasons according to a 364-day schedule each year. Those angels are strictly for, like the Big Dipper and all these different signs, the northern star for a constellation to show you your direction at night. Okay? So you'll know where due north is and due south is. These are ministering angels who come out according to minister unto people. Then you have other angels severed out for a specific reason. Once people are born, their guardian angels come into the earth to watch over their life. That's what these are. These are watchers. See? Are you following? So I'm breaking it down for you. When you look in the sky and you see stars and all that, you're looking at angels. You're looking in heaven. These are the angels. But then you have angels where their job are to, when someone's born in the earth, you go down and watch it. You go down and watch her. So these 200 were watchers. Read.
Yes, sir. Quick precept, Hebrews 1:13 through 14.
Yeah.
But to which of the angels said he at any time, sit on my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool? Are they not, the they being the angels?
The angels.
Are they not all ministering spirits, sent forth to minister for them who shall be heirs of salvation?
To minister unto us who shall become heirs of salvation. So even in our wickedness, our sins are as filthy rags with the Most High because we were shaped in iniquity. Through what? Through the bloodline of our father Adam, subjected to the desires in the flesh. So even through that, the Most High seen a way in which he could cleanse us and then use the angels to make sure they hedge and protect us and guide us. And the majority of that guidance, folks, is not against the enemy. The majority of that guidance comes with them helping us from ourselves. Right? Now, these are ministering spirits. They work for the Most High. They're told to go down and do specific things for the Most High. And their end game is to turn those they're watching to the Father. That's usually their function. Until someone becomes a menace to a degree in which the Most High say, you know what? Snatch that dude. He's disrupting too many things. And eventually he's going to kill one of my righteous. Get him out of here. Or get her out of here. So sometimes the Most High bring a ministering spirit in to cut someone's time short due to sin. But nonetheless, angels. Now, I can't show that without also giving you the argumentative side to why certain philosophies or certain teachings within the Christian church claim would use scriptures through Christ to claim that this is an impossibility. What they teach is angels are good. Angels can never disobey God. Angels cannot come down and do things like this. And then my answer to that logically is, what you mean all angels are good? Who's Lucifer? So I first break their logic with that. Okay, so what are you talking about? You can't say there's a devil that's turning mankind wrong and doing that was once at the heavenly realm and then claim that was the only time it happened. So I'm going to show you the scriptures they use to philosophize and claim that it's an impossibility for angels to deal with women, because Christians will go straight to Matthew 22. Okay, so I might as well take you there first, so you'll know how to actually rightly divide these verses. Okay. Let's go to Matthew 22 and 23 so that you first get the context. Okay.
St. Matthew chapter 22, verse 23. The same day came to him the Sadducees, which say, there is no resurrection.
So the subject is resurrection here. That's the context. The context isn't angels sleeping with women. Okay, because they're going to take you directly someplace else. So we're here to teach you how to keep things in its context so they don't throw you off. They'll go straight to the angel quote by Christ and it'll throw you off. Understand the context. And this is why the Sadducees were a sect of Hebrews, a sect of Israelites who didn't believe in the resurrection. The resurrection is your body die, you die, your spirit is held in the bosom of Abraham or in judgment Hades until the change. That's the resurrection. One of the tenets or doctrines of the disciples, like we teach. Well, the Sadducees didn't believe in the resurrection. So they taught what? Reincarnation. Reincarnation is what the Sadducees were teaching, which is a Babylonian teaching, actually. Okay? Now, come on.
Verse 24, saying, Master, Moses said, if a man die having no children, his brother shall marry his wife and raise up seed unto his brother.
Exactly. A man is married, he died, he had no seed for his name. So now the brother next in line must marry his widowed sister-in-law to bring forth a child in the name of his brother. Read.
Verse 25. Now there were with us 7 brethren, and the first, when he had married a wife, deceased, and having no issue, left his wife unto his brother. Likewise the second also, and the third, and the 7th, and last of all the woman died also.
So here it is. One brother married her, no child. Another brother tried to bring a name, no child. So 7 different men who died married to this woman. No child. She dies now. That's the context. Whose wife is she in the resurrection? Now, common sense, if they understood the law, or they understood the doctrine of Christ, because the doctrine of Christ was taught before Christ in the reports of the prophets. If they believed the scriptures, they wouldn't have asked the question. Because once you die, man or woman, if you're married, you're freed from that law of marriage. You're no longer married. So they're asking a ridiculous question. Whose wife will she be once they're all resurrected if she married many times? Which is the context. And what is Christ's answer? Read.
It says here, verse number 29.
Yeah.
Yeshua answered and said unto them, Ye do err, not knowing the scriptures, nor the power of God. For in the resurrection they neither marry, nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven.
They are as the angels of God in heaven. So when they come back, they're what? They're changed, like the angels. There's no need to marry. Why? Because they are immortal. This isn't saying that the angels can't deal with women and can't marry. Christ is given an example of angels who didn't sin against their heavenly orders. There's no need to deal with women because they're immortal. But Genesis 6 and Enoch aren't talking about these angels Christ is stating here. He's talking about the angels who are obedient to the heavenly orders. Mm-hmm. See? But they'll go here and say, see, angels don't marry. Mm-hmm. See that? When this is not even talking about that. This is only talking about what? The resurrection. whose wife would she be if she married many times? And what he said is, well, there's no need for them to come back husband and wife, because when they're resurrected, they are immortal. They are what Adam and Eve was supposed to be. And if you are immortal, there's no need for fleshly desires. There's other higher desires fulfilled spiritually. The desires of the flesh is really on man and woman to reprocreate. That's what those desires are for. Because without those desires, the Most High couldn't send spirits into the earth. But now, again, folks, in context, it's not even talking about what they're actually talking about. Okay? Angels don't need to marry. But these angels in Genesis 6 did what? They sinned. So you take them to 2 and 4. You says, yeah, you're right. According to Christ, for in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given into marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven. You're right about these angels. But what about the angels I'm about to show you? 2 Peter 2 and 4, let's read it.
2 Peter chapter 2, verse number 4.
Come on.
For God spared not the angels that sinned.
That what?
That sinned.
Exactly. Now there's no need for angels to marry because they are eternal. But what about the angels that sinned? A totally separate band of angels outside of Christ's context. Slam dunk. Over with. Mm-hmm. So you can't use the scripture to say that angels can't sleep with women. Angels are not supposed to sleep with women. Mm-hmm. Okay? But they can. The angels that sin, where are they, other lawyer?
For God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell.
To where?
To hell.
To where?
To hell.
To where?
To hell.
To hell, come on.
And delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment.
To be what?
Reserved unto judgment.
To be reserved unto judgment. Remember that judgment had to be one of the tenets taught within the disciples' doctrine. So you can't teach the proper judgment if you don't know what happened with the angels that fell, starting with Satan and his angels, and what happened in that city of Cain. We're going to go there. Because Christ says, as the days of Noah, then shall the coming of the Son of Man be. They were what? Marrying and giving in to marriage. That's a whole, now that I've given you the context, that's a whole other level, isn't it? Because it was never against the Most High's law to marry. So what do we mean? They were married and given into marriage as the days of Noah. It's going on right now. The freaks are out. They telling you to stay in, but the freaks are out during the daytime. It's the same thing that happened back then is going on now. Okay? Now, let's go into the angels that fell, because I'm going to break this wide open. And that's why I went to Barack Obama at the pyramids. I even showed you, listen, we're not speaking, second nature here or from another standpoint. I even showed you a picture earlier for those who've seen the news that we were there at the pyramids. Okay? We visited there. We wanted to know what the hype was about. Okay? Let me show you. Okay? One moment. think I showed it earlier, right? Show it again. You know what I'm saying? We were there. All right? So we're not giving you some secondhand you. We're not here to give you no secondhand information there, right?
In the back.
Huh?
In the back with Sally Holiday.
Oh, Yahweh out here, right?
Nah, to the,
Oh, there you go, Yahweh out, yeah.
Just me and then
That's lawyer there.
down to the
Look
left.
at lawyer and Yahweh all young. Look at them. And the old Ariel over here.
Mm-hmm.
Montezak right here.
Now, that's not exactly all right. And then you got Otto
The
One.
Montezak. This is Malak. We were at the pyramids. We were standing on what? The ceiling of hell, folks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to drop it on y'all. Where we standing at right here is the ceiling of hell. Don't you know everyone at the pyramid stopped looking at the pyramids? All races were, what's going on here? Who are these guys? So yeah, we showed you Barack Obama at the pyramids, but we're going to show you what's under those pyramids, folks. It's going to blow you away. Ain't going to be too long. I'm going to tie all this in. Let's go to the book of Enoch. Let's read it.
Enoch chapter 6, verse number 6. And they were in all 200 who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon.
200 angels, come on.
And they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And these are the names of their leaders: Simjaza, their leader, Arakibal, Ramiel, Kokab-el, Tamiel, Ramiel, Dan-el, Ezekiel, Barakijal, Aziel, Amaros, Batarel, Ananel, Zakiel, Samsiel, Satarel, Torel.
You see the L, like Jor-El, like Superman's father?
Mm-hmm.
These are all the angels. 200 came down, led by Simjaza and Azazel.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go straight to what Azazel and what Simjaza taught.
Yes, sir. Enoch chapter 7, verse 1. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one, and they began to go in unto them and defile themselves with them, and they taught them charms and enchantments,
Charms and enchantments.
and cutting of roots,
Come on.
and made them acquainted with plants, and they became pregnant, and they bare giants whose height was 3,000 ells.
Look at that. I shall put enmity between thy seed and the serpent seed. In the Bible, there's a new being called Nephilim that didn't come from Adam and Eve. So if people claiming that it never happened, that angels did come down, break down the word Nephilim in Genesis and tell me what's that. What is that? Where did it come from? We're talking Dungeons and Dragons right here. We're talking Game of Thrones right here. Beings, spiritual beings in the earth. Part people, part celestial. Beings with power. Read on.
Mm-hmm. And made them acquainted with plants, and they became pregnant, and they bare giants whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisitions of men, and when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind.
They started eating people, folks. See that? They started eating people. See? And this is why in your satanic rituals they do all that. Cannibalism. Mm-hmm. Drinking blood at the table in rituals and all that. They got it from here. Because why? These people who you think are stars or idols, they've given up their vessel for a spirit. So these same spirits, which are Nephilim, still have the same desires, and that's what the taste of blood. So because they don't have bodies, they're demons, and I'm going to show you how they became evil spirits. They act out their insatiable appetite for blood through people. Through people. This is what Hollywood really is. This is what really the elite powers are dealing with, folks. And it's not just them in particular. What happens is initially there's a level of purity still in them, but they open up these doors through initiation, and eventually they open themselves up to a spirit that overpowers them. And once they're overpowered, that's a done deal. The person hardly lives there anymore. So they'll be sitting there, and they'll be like, who would put a child remains in a vaccine or in food as a preservative? Who would do that? To us, it never made any sense. That's not even science. Now it makes sense. They're feeding the spirit of the fallen ones who's in people, who has a desire, has a taste for people. Come on.
It says here, and they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh.
And when it says to sin against, it wasn't just like these rock and roll simpletons biting off a chicken head. What does that have to do with music? Crashing a guitar and biting a chicken head. Well, what the hell is this? Mm-hmm. This ain't Sam Cooke here. Let me tell you, folks, they're insane. So it's deeper than that. They're riddled with demons, folks. That's what's going on. They're riddled with spirits. Okay? I was looking at the music, I'm like Kiss, and they get their tongue coming out. I'm like, yo, where are you going to learn this music? Hell. That's where you go. And we're going to go there in a moment as far as the Bible is concerned. Mm-hmm. Finish reading.
It says here, and to devour one another's flesh and drink the blood.
And when it says sin with animals, it's also with the cross-splicing of animals. Your dinosaurs, your Tyrannosaurus rexes, all these crazy and wicked and demonic animals with long teeth and all that. Why the Most High had to flood the earth, you might ask. This is why. Because if you're going to have such creatures, they're going to begin to eat the cattle that's left for us. Imagine a dinosaur coming where you live at, just grabbing kids and just eating kids and all that. Most High didn't create these things. These things were created from the serpent's seed. The giants started eating people. They said, we have to create bigger animals. Greater, bigger animals. To satisfy the insatiable appetite of Nephilim. And that's what's going on today. They can shoot up a chicken, and in 4 weeks, you got a full-grown chicken. In a month or two, it went from a little thing to a grown chicken. We're living in the days of Noah again, folks. Right? Come on.
Jumping down to chapter 8, verse 1. And Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of antimony.
Now, is this saying that bracelets and all of that is evil? No, it's not saying that. But what they were teaching was what? You got it. A certain level of individualism that would seed the spirit of pride in man. Materialism. Where now it's about the acquisition of these things, these trinkets. I'm left out if I don't have that chain or that thing. It began to deal with that insatiable spirit in mankind to what? To belong. See? I heard some bag, they got a bag out there, $5,000. What's the name of that bag? The sisters don't know what type of bag it is. No, this thing is Prada bags. And I'm like, you mean a bag? 5 G's? I'm like, what this bag? What you go into it and be already in the heavenly realm? You step up in that thing and you automatic kingdom of heaven? You know what? I got 5,000. That's a good car. But it's feeding on because it's a certain status. A person with a certain status is sitting there with that Prada bag. Okay, and now everyone has to have it. This is what was taught by the angels. This is an example. The bag isn't evil in itself. It's what we make of the bag. It's what we make of the jewelry. What we make of the things that makes them idols. See? See, and I think the most high that I've never been moved through materialism. I mean, the greatest satisfaction I get, I'm talking about the greatest satisfaction or fulfillment spiritually is when I get new understanding. Most High showed me something like what I'm about to go into and what we went into a couple of days. I'm like, man, a Prada bag can't replace this. I mean, a watch. I don't care what the watch is. I'll just leave the watch there. Like it's a watch. It's for time. What time it is. But to some people, they look at. I got a Rolex. I got this. I got that. I'm like, okay, you have a watch. Because I understand what happens when things, listen to this, becomes precious. Listen to that. Becomes precious. No thing should have that much power over the greatest creation on earth, man and woman. Okay? Man and woman is the Most High's prized jewel on earth. Especially if you're from Israel. We're his jewels. Okay? Now, let's jump straight to the curse. Where the Most High bound Azazel. Let's go straight there because you can read the rest in your time, but I need to now tie this together with the presentation I brought forth earlier. Okay? Come on, let's do it.
So Enoch chapter 10, verse 1.
Come on.
Then said the Most High, the Holy and Great One spake, and sent Uriel to the son of Lamech.
He sent Uriel to the son of Lamech.
And said to him, Go to Noah and tell him in my name, hide thyself.
Tell Noah to hide himself.
And reveal to him the end that is approaching, that the whole earth will be destroyed, and a deluge is about to come upon the whole earth.
Hold up, what's about to come upon the whole earth?
A deluge is about to come upon the whole earth.
A deluge is about to come on the whole earth. Now, folks, there were 2 deluges. The Most High flood the earth twice. I'm going to prove it. Read.
It says, and will destroy all that is on it, and now instruct him that he may escape, and his seed may be preserved for all generations of the world. And again the Lord said to Raphael, Bind Azazel hand and foot.
Bind Azazel hand and foot. Read.
And cast him into the darkness.
And cast him into the darkness.
And make an opening in the desert, which is in Dudael, and cast him therein.
Which is where?
Which is in Dudael, and cast him therein.
Which is in Dudael, cast him therein. Now, first of all, let me go to the Egyptian legends that are taught to Freemasons. It's from the same literature I gave you early. The Ancient Grand Lodge information, Sandmate, oldmasoniclodge.org. And I'm going to make sure you all get these details. Listen to this. Say Osiris, greatest magician, and Father Setna saw two funeral processions pass by. One was the funeral of a poor man with only his family to mourn him. The Setna began to praise the beauty of the stately procession, and his sons commented that the funeral of the poor man was more worthy. Now it's going into a few stories on Osiris. But check this out. The gods of ancient Egypt, the legend of Osiris. The legend of Osiris is one of the most ancient myths in Egypt. It was central to the ancient Egyptian state religion. The myth establishes Osiris' position as god of the dead and lord of the underworld, and Horus, and thus all the pharaohs, right to kingship, a bloodline of Nephilim linked directly to pharaohs, folks. It also demonstrates the powers and duties of other major gods, as well as setting up the great adversary, Set. Yet, oddly enough, we have yet to find a complete version of the story. What we have has been cobbled together.
You read the right part at first.
Huh?
You got the right part at first.
Okay, yeah. Because it says, because, yeah. You talking about where it says, ask Setna?
When you read about the funeral,
Yeah.
That's the actual projection of Duat.
Okay, yeah. It says the magician's journey of the underworld, the Duat. That Duat is the underworld of Dudael, where Azazel had been placed in hell. The angels that were bound and are now in hell. It's Dudael according to Enoch. It's Duat according to the Egyptian lore or Egyptian antiquity. Listen to this. Because he replied, say Osiris, the poor man will most likely be judged favorably in the judgment hall of Osiris. The judgment hall of Osiris. But the rich man is sure to have a heavy burden of evil on his heart. The rich man's heart will probably tip the scale when it is weighed against the feather of Maat. Now, there's a legend in ancient Egypt of Anubis who stands there, and at the end, your heart is placed on the scale, and if you're evil, you're tormented. But if it's light as a feather, you go in to paradise with your fathers. That's their legend. But listen to this. It says, it's not the wealth of the man proof of his status and good works for the Pharaoh. Perhaps, but this status here will do nothing save him in the hall of judgment. However, if you doubt me, we can see the outcome for this wealthy man. For I know the words of power to open the gates of Duat. That's Dudael. That's the gates of hell where what? Where Uriel bound Azazel. I can transform you and into our bar form, and we can fly beside this man as he journeys through the Duat to the hall of judgment. To show you, there's no doubt, even in Egyptian antiquity, that what Enoch was dropping is correct. That under the pyramids where the rocks was placed and bound Azazel is a gate to the underworld. They teach this in Freemasonry, folks. They teach that. So now there's a different, what you would call judgment system under the Freemasons opposed to the Most High's judgment. What they're taught is you can still be a Freemason, and if your good outweigh your bad, in the day of judgment when you are before Osiris or Anubis, you'll get in. That's a deception. Why? Because Osiris is Azazel, the bound one. He don't have the keys for one to enter into what? Righteousness or hell. Christ has those keys. They've been deceived. Osiris is Azazel, folks. His name was Azazel first, the fallen angel. And that's why your politicians like Biden, like Obama and others, visit that same hall ever so many years. Let me finish reading now. In the darkness of Setna saw two glowing forms standing beside Osiris, each with a flame tongue hovering over his head. It was his own Ka and the Ka of, say, Osiris, and the flame of their souls hovered over their body doubles. In the shadows he saw two bodies lying still, and he recognized himself and his son. Now, mind you, folks, before Christ came, Satan had entry, and the pharaohs had entry into the caverns of Azazel to get technology, to get information. But when Christ came, he took the keys there. But before that, their wizards and sorcerers had access. Their priests had access close enough to Azazel to receive information against us. And that was that original battle, folks, in which Pharaoh didn't want to let us go because they had access. They had access to that throne of their fathers, discussing what happens if they release us. In that battle between the serpent seed and the woman seed, they wanted to keep us. Because Osiris let them know, listen, eventually, if you release them, it's over. These people are our judges. So it wasn't just Pharaoh trying to keep us there. It was the gods they follow. We were their judges. Listen to this here. Come, Father, said, see Osiris, for we must complete our journey before the sun rises again, or we will dwell in Duat forever. So they understood in ancient times, only certain times you can go there, because if your spirit goes there to communicate with this fallen god, it stays, it's stuck. They'll die down there. Okay? Why? Because where the pyramids are, these are gates to hell. That pyramid, it goes like this all the way down to the middle. There's a rock that was put in place there by Uriel. And it trapped Azazel. But they have certain magic. They used to have magic there in which they could actually go and communicate with it. And that's why Barack Obama goes there. That's why your politicians go there, to worship the original deceiver after Satan. All the technology and construct and science and all that we read of in Enoch is what drives the earth's empires. This is why your presidents are there, not just from America, but from China and every other place. Their fathers are there. Who? That's right. The bloodline of the Nephilim are in people connected to the fallen gods. Now, how do we now, here it is now, check this out, folks. Check this out, little lawyer. Under the East Indian religion, Brahma and other religions, you see them marching around the tessellated checkered floor in their religion? Check this out. It says here, now in India it's called not Dudael, not Duat, but Dwarka, where the angels bound. It's called Dwarka. Listen to this. In the Bay Cambay in India, the Bay of Cambay was discovered by marine scientists in early 2002. The city is located 120 feet underwater in the Gulf of Cambay off the western coast of India. The city is 5 miles long, 2 miles wide. Carbon dating estimates the site to be a whopping, listen, 9,500 years old. This bringing us to the time, near the time of Cain. Listen to this. And more amazingly, architectural and human remains are still intact. The discovery astounded scientists because it predates all of the finds in the area by 5,000 years, suggesting a much longer history of the civilization than was first assumed. Marine scientists and sonar images and some bottom profiling to locate the lost ruins, and it is believed that the area was submerged when the ice caps melted in the last ice age. Listen, the Indian nationalists have dubbed the find Dwarka, the golden city, in honor of ancient submerged city said to belong to Hindu god Krishna. They found the original city that Satan set up before the flood, submerged in water. Now, they won't teach this to you. It's being taught in the East Indian pagan religion. Proof that the flood happened. Krishna is Satan. Satan has what? A layer under the earth that was submerged by water. See, they're not subjected to death due to water. They have all types of cities and all that under the sea. And I'm speaking of Satan himself. Till this day, folks. Listen to this. Dwarka. The description in a book of the East Indians called the Haravamsa. In Haravamsa, Dwarka is described as largely built on submerged land, released by the ocean. The city was the former sporting ground of King Ravataka, called Draupadi, which was squared like a chessboard. So the original construct of the city that Satan had, or the castle he had the checkered floor, mimicking the heavenly realm, like your Masonic temples today. This is in your East Indian Bibles. Listen. The city was the former sporting ground of King Ravataka, called Davaravati, which was squared like a chessboard. Nearby was the mountain range, Rayavataka, the living place of the gods. It's in their Bible, folks, the East Indian Bible, the locations. The city was measured by Brahmas. The foundation of the house was laid, and at last some of the houses were built by the Yadavas, which are gods. It was built by Vishvakarma in one day, mentally. Listen, this is from their Bible, folks, the East Indian Bibles. It had surrounding walls with 4 main gates. Sound familiar? Like the temple? This is Satan's first buildings. It says here, that, don't forget, it tells us that once Cain went into the city, that's when they began to what? Build houses. These houses were also the temples to Satan. Listen clearly. And houses were arranged in lines, and the city got high buildings made in gold, which almost touched the sky, and could even be seen everywhere like clouds. It had a temple area with a palace for Krishna himself, who had a separate bathroom. It was very rich city, and the city, and the only city on earth which was studded with gems. Supporting the palace were coral pillars decoratively inlaid with Vedura gems. Sapphires decked the walls, and the floors glowed with perpetual brilliance. So Satan looked to build a temple of God here on earth. This is your original Masonic construct on earth, built by Satan himself before the flood. Now, listen to this. Dwarka is believed to have been the first capital of Gujarat. The city's name literally means the gateway to heaven. Now, this is in the East Indians' Bibles, folks. As Dwar means gate, Dudiel, these are gates. And Ka referenced Brahma. Krishna is also said to have reclaimed 12 yojanas, or 96 square kilometers, 37 square miles of land from the sea to create Dwarka. Okay, go ahead. Listen to this. Brahma is one of the three major gods of the Hindus. Brahma is said to be the creator of the whole universe. Mainstream scientists maintain that the ancient Indian culture of civilizations go back some 4,000 to 5,000 years. Yet the ruins below the Gulf of Cambay go back to at least 9,000 years. This is biblical time, folks. We're showing you the deluge that happened, where the Most High destroyed Satan's city, to the time when the area submerged underwater. This means that the city must have existed before the flood, at least 9,000 years ago. The exploration conducted in the Gulf Cambay waters revealed sandstone walls, a grid of streets, and some evidence of a seaport 70 feet underwater. The ruins have been proclaimed the remains of the legendary lost city of Dwarka, which, according to ancient Hindu texts, was the dwelling place of the deity known as Krishna. So a lot of people ask, well, what happened to the beings and all that died during the flood? Some of them escaped into caverns, and others stayed submerged within the waters until the water subsided, and Satan and those angels who followed him came out of it eventually. But I digress. I want to keep it here for a moment. Check this out, folks. It says here, this means that the city must have existed before the flooding. According to ancient Hindu texts, Dwarka was a skirmish ground for the Lord Krishna and King Salva. As the Mahabharata describes, King Salva attacked Dwarka with a fly-in machine. Ships. It is the description of the battle that draws the attention of the ancient aliens theorists, as it seems to suggest it was fought with sophisticated technology and advanced weaponry, potentially even with a craft attacking from the orbit. The spacecraft commenced an attack on the city with the use of energy weapons, which to the onlookers resembled a discharge of lightning. And it was so devastating that after the attack, most of the city lay in ruins. So there was a war against the gods and their children before the flood, folks. Flying machines, nuclear missiles, and all that. Listen, Lord Krishna counterattacked and fired his weapons on the ship. They looked like arrows, yet they roared like thunder and shone like rays of the sun when released. Nuclear hits before the flood, and it's written, that's right, in Persian and also East Indian religious text. Now, that brings a whole nother understanding. Lloyd, we're going to wrap it up in a second. A few things I got to hit. That brings a whole nother understanding to when Christ says, as in the days of Noah, then shall the coming of the Son of Man be. The infighting amongst themselves is going to lead to a degree in which, if Christ didn't return, no flesh would be saved. It's not just an attack on us. Satan has a plan to destroy the whole earth and all people in it, including the Masons who have helped him. Now, Elder Lawyer, let's get Enoch 65 now.
All right, it's the book of Enoch, chapter 65.
65, 1 through 6.
Yes, sir.
Let's get it.
Enoch chapter 65, verse 1. And in those days Noah saw the earth, and that it had sunk down, and destruction was nigh.
Come on.
And he rose from thence, and went to the ends of the earth, and cried aloud to his grandfather Enoch. And Enoch said 3 times with an embittered voice, Hear me, hear me, hear me. And I said unto him, Tell me what it is that is falling out of the earth, and that the earth is in such evil plight and shaken, lest perchance I...
Now, why did Noah say the earth was shaken, folks? The information in the East Indian Bibles of the war between Krishna and the gods. Noah said the earth was shaken now. So it wasn't just the witchcraft and the evil. Warfare broke out throughout the whole earth. Read. Okay, no, take your time. Go on.
It says here, and thereupon, it says here, Tell me what is it that is falling out on the earth,
Come on.
that the earth is in such evil plight and shaken, lest perchance I shall perish with it.
Come on.
And thereupon was there a great commotion on the earth, and a voice was heard from heaven, and I fell on my face, and Enoch my grandfather came and stood by me and said unto me,
This is what Enoch told his grandson, Noah. Read.
Why hast thou cried unto me with a bitter cry and weeping? And a command is gone forth from the presence of the Lord concerning those who dwell on the earth, that their ruin is accomplished because they have learned all the secrets of the angels.
Because they have learned all the secrets of the angels. Read.
And all the violence of the Satans, and all their powers, the most secret ones, and all the power of those who practice sorcery, and the power of witchcraft, and the power the power of those who make molten images for the earth, and how silver is produced from the dust of the earth,
Come on.
and how soft metal originates in the earth.
Because they have taught so much evil, a judgment is coming. And this is why Enoch was translated, folks. This is why eventually the Most High would speak from Enoch to Methuselah and tell Noah, listen, start building an ark on dry ground. I'm just going to say you and your family, all the disobedient and all the animals that were created by them will die. Let's go to Jasher, the 2nd chapter, real quick, Elder Lawyer. Because we're going to prove to you there was a flood before the last flood. So I'm going to tell you, folks, there's a lot of cities underwater. These were what? These were Satan and the angels' original cities. Even when you look at the Grand Canyon and on how that deep cavern, it looked like something hit that. They claimed it was a meteorite. But no, that's when the earth was one place, folks. And there was bombs and all that going on, denting the grounds and all that. The war of the gods before the flood. So Noah came to his grandfather like, listen, save me. Flying machines, planes, ships, weapons, laser weapons, antimatter weapons, nuclear bombs. All of these were prophesied. It was shown to Enoch that a war would break out amongst the so-called gods and their children. Okay? Read it real quick, Elder Lloyd. I need to go straight to where it shows the deluge.
Jasher 2 and 6.
Book of Jasher, the 2nd chapter and the 6th verse. Read it.
And the Lord caused the waters of the river Gihon to overwhelm them, and he destroyed and consumed them. Then he destroyed the third part of the earth. Notwithstanding this,
He destroyed what?
the third part of the earth.
1/3 of the earth.
Notwithstanding this, the sons of men did not turn from their evil ways, and their hands were yet extended to do evil in the sight of the Lord.
So 1/3 of the earth was flooded first. And the people of the earth still didn't repent. So the Most High said, you know what? Let me bring the judgment. Because if I don't stop these angels, if I don't stop their children, they're going to kill the seed of Noah out of the earth. Satan's plan. The serpent seed against what? The woman seed. Elder, let's get to the judgment. Straight to the throne where the Most High brought Enoch up and gave him the judgment on the angels and their children. Let's go there.
Book of Enoch, chapter 15, verse 1.
Come on.
And he answered me and said to me, and I heard his voice, Fear not, Enoch, thou righteous man.
Hold on. Before you go there, let me give you a few more Sheol or hell scriptures real quick, dealing with that realm of Dudael, where Azazel is bound. Okay? Where Azazel is bound. Now, when you hear the word Azazel, that means scapegoat. That means scapegoat. So in our law, what happens is, in the Old Testament, when the priest would pray before the atonement, all the sins of our nation would leave us, and it goes to the scapegoat. Okay? And then we would release a goat into the wilderness, where all of our sins would be ascribed to that particular scapegoat. All right? That's where we get the law of the scapegoat from. Okay? That's a being or a spirit that's still on the loose with an eventual judgment in which sin is ascribed to it. That's the whole concept of the scapegoat you read of in the Bible. Okay? Now, it comes from this. Unless you read the book of Enoch, you would never understand that law of the scapegoat, where all sin is ascribed. Right? So, Elder Lawyer, let's get Zechariah 12 and 1 real quick. Zechariah 12 and 1, let's get these in succession. Pass my sword real quick. Or any sword, the one next to you. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Zechariah chapter 12, verse 1.
Come on.
The burden of the word of the Lord, for Israel, saith the Lord,
For Israel, saith the Lord,
which stretcheth forth the heavens, and layeth the foundation of the earth.
So our God, the God of Israel, stretched forth the heavens and lay the foundation of the earth, read,
And formeth the spirit of man within him.
and do what? Form the spirit of man within him, read.
Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all people round about, when they shall be in the siege, both against Judah and Jerusalem.
Now I went here to show you that the Most High did what? He stretched forth and made the earth, and in his thoughts was what? A man after his own heart will be made in the earth to judge that same realm. Hold that, elder lawyer. And that's coming out of the children of Israel. This is why the enemy is now at the door attacking us. They're at the enemy to attack, they're at the door to attack us, because the only influence or power they had over us came with the children of Israel not knowing our true purpose and origin. Now that we know, all the gloves are off now. It's the battle. The serpent seed against the woman's seed. No more this middle ground of uncertainty of whether or not we're under attack. Let's go to Amos 9 and 2. Amos 9 and 2.
Book of Amos, chapter 9, verse 2.
Come on.
Though they dig into hell,
Though they what?
dig into hell.
And that's why I wanted to show you Barack Obama and others going into there, because they've been digging down into that realm to connect to Azazel, who's Osiris. Though they dig into hell,
then shall my hand take them.
then shall what?
Then shall my hand take them.
Then shall my hand take them. Because Satan have no access to go through those gates anymore, Christ took the keys there. They're looking to find other ways into those realms. And this is why we have in this earth a lot of earthquakes, folks. They're looking to break the ground and release souls, to release spirits. And even when we were over there for a while in the Middle East, it was in the paper, in the Egyptian paper, that they was talking about blowing up the pyramid, folks. You know, in the Egyptian paper over there. I'm like, what? I'm like, we're too close to hell. We getting the hell about it. We getting in the wilderness area. They say, listen, it was in the paper that they was considering blowing up the Great Pyramid. And I know that Azazel's down there. Right? Come on.
Though they did.
And I'm going to drop this, folks. In the judgment to come, Cairo is going down. Not Alexandria. Okay, not the Mediterranean, because the coast of the sea will be intact until Christ returns. The Great Sea will be there. But Cairo, where hell is, that's going down. Amos 9 and 2, read it.
Though they dig into hell, then shall mine hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven.
Though they climb up to heaven. Who said they would climb up to heaven? Satan. This is what he's promising the Masonic ministers under their initiations, through their education there. That not only will they dig down into heaven and actually converse and get information from the gods who fell before, but they will also get the technology to go in to the sides of the north. But our God, the God of the Bible, says, though you dig into hell, and though you come up into space, read,
thence will I bring them down.
Thence will I bring them down, come on.
And though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel.
And though they hide themselves where?
In the top of Carmel.
We know where they are. We know where they planted their seeds at, and their heirloom seeds to hide in this day to come. Though they go into the mountains to hide themselves. Read.
I will search and take them out thence, and though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, then
hold on, where are they? Where are they?
And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea.
This is where they were able to hide themselves in number during the flood. During the flood, folks, the Most High had us through the Bible find them, because they had original cities that they were only teaching this amongst the East Indians. There is hidden cities under the sea where they hid themselves. Though they hide themselves under the sea,
thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them.
Woo! Leviathan! Leviathan! Come on.
Verse 4. And though they go into captivity before their enemies, thence will I command the sword, and it shall slay them, and I will set my eyes upon them for evil and not for good. And the Lord of hosts is he that toucheth the land, and it shall melt, and all that dwell therein shall mourn.
Woo! A judgment is coming, folks. Hold up now. What the Most High has allowed us to do is to go into the mind of those who've always opposed us. I never could understand or never even thought about what's going on with these East Indians. They just existed. Folks, they have a higher level of witchcraft and sorcery in the earth. I'm talking about what they deal with is closer to the ancient Canaanite religions than any other family on earth. These are Cushites. These are the children of Nimrod. And all they're on the floor, the checkered floor, the heavens. In their ideology, in their Bibles, in their history, they speak of the gods they worship and how these gods were submerged and hid themselves in their religion. The gods they still serve. Krishna is Satan. Now, I only got a few more. Hold tight. Job 11:8. Read it. Yeah, I told you we're emptying the clip on y'all, didn't we tell you? Job 11:8. Let's hit it.
Job 11:8.
Yeah.
It is as high as heaven.
It is as high as heaven.
What canst thou do?
What canst thou do? And talk about the Most High. You can't hide from the Most High. Read.
Deeper than hell.
And it's deeper than hell.
What canst thou know?
What canst thou know? What can you hide from the Almighty? See? Because he sent Uriel to bind Azazel there. So you think you're going there to get secrets against the children of Israel? You think the Most High won't tell us? You think we won't figure it out? Our God is everywhere. So your secret societies and your little boy clubs and your little separate areas and fraternities, you think it's secret. There's nothing you can hide from our God. Psalm 16:10. Let's go.
Psalms chapter 16, verse 10.
Come on.
For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell.
It says, for thou wilt not leave my soul in hell. And this is David, read.
Neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption.
To see corruption. Why? Because the Most High Spirit is there. Let's get a few more. This is getting a little deep here. Let's go now to Isaiah 7:11. Then we're going to read this in Enoch and finish it up.
Isaiah 7, verse 11.
Read.
Ask a sign of the Lord thy God.
Ask a sign of the Lord our God, Ahiah.
Ask it either in the depth, or in the height above.
Or in the height above. Read.
But Ahaz said, I will not ask, neither will I tempt the Lord. And he said, hear ye now, O house of David.
So it lets you know the Most High. More scriptures to prove the Most High is everywhere at once. There's nothing you can hide from him. So these secret societies are no longer secret. See, part of their power was to have the knowledge separate from the rest. See, and that's why I'm going into their information, exposing them, in hopes of not that anything can happen to them, that even one of them can hear our teachings and repent and come to Christ, because they have the wisdom and knowledge beyond the normal person, the everyday Joe, that can be used for righteousness if they baptize and cleanse themselves and be used for the right light. Christ, Yeshua. Let's get, and they might as well come over now, because in Edom, the powers that be, the Rosicrucians and others, are about to throw them to the sharks. There's no need for them anymore. Now that we know we're Israel, what secrets can you hide from us now? So their information, what they were actually in place to keep a cap on it, to keep it concealed. But now the cat is out of the bag. There's no need for these underlings. They might as well come over to this side. And you know what? We'll embrace you. There's a lot of washing that has to go on. Psalms 24, 1 and 2. Let's go.
Psalms 24, verse number
1 and 2.
The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof.
The earth is the Most highest, and the fullness thereof.
The world and they that dwell therein, for he hath founded it upon the seas.
He founded it upon the what?
Upon the seas.
He founded the earth upon the seas, read.
And established it upon the floods.
And established it upon the what?
The floods.
The floods. Folks, there's levels in worlds within the earth, even under the sea. The Most High is letting you know there's terrestrial plane where we rule, but then there's a subterranean world where only the gods or celestials can exist. All the way to what? Hell. So people are like, well, how did they escape through the flood? Folks, they got all types of empires and live in subterranean regions underwater. You wouldn't even believe it. They even have ships and all that under the waters. A whole civilization for them under the waters. More. Genesis 49 and 25. Man, listen, when we hit those streets again, and we're going to hit them, I'm going to give it to those demonic Dunkin' Donut managers. And them Cushites who've been hiding them. You are a warlock. I'm like, what is this influx of East Indians we got going on around here? And not too many of them actually that I've seen have come to Christ. I mean, maybe there's a number or place. I'm not going to downplay. There's a place for them. But not too many I've seen of them who's actually converted. And maybe it's because we never really dug into what they deal with. But now it's time to totally hit that Babylonian religion square in the eye and bring it out so that we can pull some of those brothers and sisters into the light. Genesis 49 and 25. Read it, other way.
Genesis 49, verse 25. Even by the God of thy father, who shall help thee, and by the Almighty, who shall bless thee with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lieth under, blessings of the breast and of the womb.
See, you have to realize we're going to rule more than just the terrain. There's many areas of rulership and power. When he told Adam, I'm going to give you dominion over this and over that, we're talking about the whole course, the whole spectrum. So our forefathers just weren't identifying the terrain we live on. It was also identifying areas that only the so-called quote-unquote princes or gods can inhabit, the fallen ones. So when you think of Aquaman and all these others, the submarine, Neptune, and when you think of all these things, to you, it's like cartoons to you. But no, to them, it's a reverence to the gods who've made the cities there. What you got, Uriah?
I'm literally looking at what you just said.
You're looking at what I just said.
The underwater curse of the Golden City, right?
The curse of the Golden City, go on.
It shows a dome. It's a dome that they plan on building even in Japan, an underwater dome that has a glass dome that can hold 500,000 people under the water. And it talks about Atlantis and all this stuff we're talking about. Okay?
So what Elder Iraq said is right now under Japan, they're talking about building an underwater dome that can hold a maximum of 5,000 people submerged underwater.
Flat Earth.
Huh? And that's the flat Earth. It's the plan for them to live underwater, under a dome. But we know how it ends. Let's read how it ends real quick, Elder Lloyd. Let's go on straight to Enoch, the judgment.
Enoch 15 and 1. And he answered and said to me, and I heard his voice, Fear not, Enoch, thou righteous man and scribe of righteousness. Approach hither and hear my voice, and go say to the watchers of heaven, who have sent thee to intercede for them. You should intercede for men, and not men for you.
Come on.
Wherefore have ye left the high, holy, and eternal heaven, and lain with women, and defiled yourselves with the daughters of men, and taken to yourselves wives, and done like the children of earth, and begotten giants as your sons.
So now the Most High God Ahia is giving the judgment to Enoch for the 200 angels that came down and tampered and defiled mankind. Read.
And though you are holy, spiritual, living the eternal life, you have defiled yourselves with the blood of women, and have begotten children with the blood of flesh, and as the children of men have lusted after flesh and blood, as those do also who die and perish. Therefore I have given them wives, that they might impregnate them and beget children by them, that thus nothing might be wanting to them on earth. But you were formerly spiritual, living the eternal life, and immortal for all generations of the world, and therefore I have not appointed wives for you.
He says, so he told the angels, you were once immortal. Read.
Therefore I have not appointed wives for you, for as for the spiritual ones of the heaven, and heaven is their dwelling. Verse 8. And now the giants who are produced from the spirits and flesh shall be called evil spirits upon the earth, and on the earth shall be their dwelling.
So now, since these beings, folks, are hybrids that were made out of evil, the Most High didn't have a place for them. Man, there's a place. Once our spirit leaves, we go into what? The bosom of Abraham. But there was no place for these beings because why? They were produced through disobedience. So he says, your children, they will be what?
It says, and now the giants who are produced from the spirits and flesh shall be called evil spirits upon the earth.
Shall be evil spirits upon the earth. Now check it out. I'm reading right now in Genesis of Demons, Azazel. He's named Demon of the Desert. Another one, Yahweh. Azazel is Osiris. I'm reading right here. Type in, when you get a chance, Google Osiris, Azazel. They're one and the same, just a different name. Enoch named him Azazel. That was his original form when he fell. But the Egyptians, under their language, called that fallen angel under the Great Pyramid, folks, Osiris. And this is why all your diplomats and your high politicians go there to visit, ever so often to get information from that region. They go straight to where you see Barack Obama. They wouldn't allow me to walk over there. I was walking amongst the brethren, and I'm looking, I'm trying to find out. They was like, no, y'all can stop right here. Like, what are y'all doing here? No, we know what you're doing. But go ahead, Elder Lawyer.
It says, evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies, because they are born from men, and from the holy watchers is their beginning and primal origin.
So here's demonology. Here's the origin of demons, folks. These beings were produced from the angels, the Nephilim. So because the Most High had no place for them originally, they would just roam the earth. Same spirits that were produced, but without rest. They've been roaming the earth for thousands of years. So when they get in a person, you see a person bug out and speaking to themselves and sitting there doing all this stuff and doing all that. That's when a spirit have taken the whole body. It's over. That person doesn't even exist there hardly anymore. Thousands of years. And this is why they want to put us and our children on medication, because we're waking up. They want us on marijuana. Or let's open up free marijuana plants, because these are they call marijuana a gateway drug. Why do they call it a gateway drug? It opens a door. It opens a door. Read.
Verse 10, Enoch 15 and 10. They shall be evil spirits on earth, and evil spirits shall they be called. As for the spirits of heaven, in heaven is their dwelling, but as for the spirits of the earth, which were born upon the earth, on earth shall be their dwelling.
Come on.
And the spirits of the giants afflict.
They what?
Afflict.
Afflict.
Oppress.
Oppress.
Destroy.
Destroy.
Attack.
Attack.
Do battle.
Do battle.
And work destruction on the earth.
And work destruction on the earth.
And cause trouble.
And they cause conflict. So when there's an argument with someone you love, you two are not alone. When there's a conflict, what makes it when you want to go to blows, something else is there. Conflict, trouble. That means a demon is in someone's quarters, in their body. Now, if you react to the demon, guess what? Your eyes open and be like that. They'd be like, I got one. And it'll go in you. The battle will happen until someone dies. Now, if someone dies, the spirit leaves, and the person who executed the punishment or death, it takes that person, and now that you sitting there with a demon on you. The demons go back and forth until death happens or separation happens. But then later you look back at your past experiences and you look back and saying, I wish I could have done some of these things differently. You say, man, how did I let this one moment change the whole trajectory of my life? You would have never made that decision in a logical mind. It was your emotions. You made a decision strictly off of your emotions. Your emotions trump everything else. Nothing else mattered but how you were feeling. And but see, we can't see in the invisible. That's one of the faults we have. We don't see what's around us. The instigators, we don't see them. So we'll get up in our emotions and they'll sit there and wait like, I'm getting in. She's heated right now. If she don't calm down, I'm getting in. And as soon as you go, and next they see that light, they be like, okay, look what I got. I'm in. And we look back and not realizing that wasn't me who wrecked shop like that. I don't think that evil. I'm not that bad. You know why? Because it wasn't just you. It's what you allowed. That's why Christ says, be careful. You walk wise as serpents, harmless as doves. Don't react to everything that's done to you. When there's a poisonous demon amongst you, and you know it, believe it and flee. Okay? Understand, there's a time for all things under heaven. There's a time to embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. Right? Read on.
They take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst.
They are insatiable. They are hungry. So when they get a vessel, you'll find yourself eating inordinately. Because it's trying to fulfill this appetite. Because don't forget, the giants were so insatiable, they began to consume man. So someone that eats all the time, just have to eat all the time, is a demon there. So myself, I learned how to buffet my flesh. Okay, I love things that taste good. So who doesn't? So I'm like, well, okay. I'll make sure at night I'll have nuts, berries, raisins, Just a little bit of something there that'll just give me enough to where I'm not going downstairs and say, let me go get me a pint of ice cream, or go get this and go get that. Just enough to give me that good taste, but nourishment. But yet, if there's anything that's against me, I'm starving that bad boy out. He'll look at me and be like, well, okay, let me look at you, and let me look at that woman that just came out of McDonald's. See you later, dude. Shalom. Shalom, I'm out. And you know what? He's going to choose the one that came out of McDonald's. Because I understand spiritual warfare. Okay? It's in your food. It's how you eat. It's the patterns you deal with. Okay? Read.
It says here, in these spirits shall rise up against the children of men and against women, because they proceeded from them.
Because they proceeded from them. That means if you're out of the pocket, not following God's law, and you're subjected to all your emotions, and everything you do is off your emotions, guess what? You're going to be taken. Because these spirits can only operate with bodies. That's their weakness. They can only operate through bodies. And they can only get a body that we yield to them. And don't forget, this belongs to the Most High. And I'm not going to yield my being to some little demonic worm hybrid that was made out of nothing, with the full intent of killing me and my family. Last scripture, Enoch chapter 10 verse 9 reads, another judgment. And Gabriel said to the Most High, proceed against the bastards and the reprobates, speaking of the children of those giants, and against the children of fornication, and destroy the children of fornication and the children of the watchers from amongst men, and cause them to go forth, that means out of their bodies, send them one against the other, that they may destroy each other in battle, for the length of days shall they not have. The Most High had Gabriel stood and say, listen, have them war against each other. That'll give us time to prepare Noah's Ark. Warfare all over the earth. And that's what we just read from the East Indian records of the wars and the nuclear wars and the flying machines that began the infighting. And through the smoke, the Most High was doing what? He was protecting with an ark, building an ark for the remnant who would be saved for this side of the flood. That ark is being made right now, folks. I'm looking at the infighting between the Democrats, the Republicans, how even when Hillary say, well, if Trump becomes president, we will all hang. What was she talking about? He know where all the bones are. I'm looking. He know where all the bones are laid, folks. There's internal warfare all over the earth, and it's the same judgment that's coming. Warfare is about to happen all over the earth, but yet a remnant under Christ will escape through a new ark that began with baptism. I would like to believe our church's help is help in building that ark. What do you think? With that, we say shalom. We're going to start next week on the other side of the flood. Abraham's seed, the promised seed. I'm going to break down Abraham and the children of Israel next week. Shalom.
Shalom.
Oh, yeah. Answer a few questions and wish you all Godspeed. I can't answer them all, so make sure you use the email we have to make sure that you get your questions answered. Brother Yashar, go ahead, Elder Lloyd.
Says, really appreciate the lesson, identifying our enemies that we cannot see. Praise the Most High. My question is, may you please read 1 Corinthians 2, 9 through 10, verse 8. Who are the princes? Is it dark forces? And may you please confirm if I'm correct or incorrect?
Let's read it real quick. 1 Corinthians 2, 8 through 10. Shalom, elders, and this is Eric, the water for everything you do. I came across the GOC on YouTube 3 years ago, and when I was searching for the Most High's name, this is my second academy. Now, and truly is a blessing. I'm living in the Dominican Republic at the moment, but I'm originally from Canada. I've been trying to find a way to get baptized. Do me a favor, Eric, send your information, and we can get you baptized, no problem. I mean, even if we have to make it where we establish a baptism there under these circumstances. But I need to talk to you what those, it's going to be a tougher, ask with the restrictions they have on there. But I'm going to see what we can do. Make sure you send an email to the academy to get directly to me. I'll have Elder Gabar reach out to you. He's from the Dominican Republic, and we'll see what we can do for you. Read it real quick, Elder Lloyd.
You say 1 Corinthians 2, 8 through
8 through 10.
1 Corinthians 2 and 8 through 10, which none of the princes of this world knew, for had they known it, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory.
Yes. You got it. That's another level, but yeah, those princes are fallen forces. Let's see. Because the prince of this world is who? Satan. The water elders for another great lesson. This is Jehovah. Can you explain the proper procedure outlined in the Bible that we should follow if an issue or conflict arises with a brother or sister? Yes. It tells you in the book of Matthew that if you have an issue with a brother or sister, you go to him or her alone first with the issue. Okay? Now, it's how you go to them with the issue would lead to whether or not there's a resolve. If one is overtaken in a fault, restore such a one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. So make sure you're not attempting to go to them angry in hopes of having that person understand the gravity of their offense perpetrated against you. Understand that you cannot talk to anyone else about that issue to get some insight on how you need to deal with the issue before you dealt with that person. If you talk to anybody about what happened to you, that's evil. You have to give that person the opportunity first, okay, to repent without you soiling their name. Because why? There's a chance that you just might be wrong. And you're putting something negative out there, unresolved. Got it? Now, if that person don't hear you after you come through in the spirit of meekness, take 2 witnesses with you. Usually that's someone else who witnessed what happened. Or they've done that too. And now you go and you're not developing, you're not creating a lynch mob here. You're going to him with 2 or more people. Usually, if I'm in a church, I would have that be a scenario where I went to this person, they didn't understand or they didn't want to admit they're wrong. Now I'm going to bring it to an elder of the church and say, well, listen, I need some witnesses as I interact under these situations. Now you have someone, unbiased judges. That means you cannot tell the elders over the church or the bishop over the church, or whatever the case is, what happened. Because now you are creating biased judgments against a person who's absent. You can tell them you have an issue, but you can't say what the issue is. So that they can listen to it for the first time and give you a non-biased judgment. Now, if the person is wrong and that person don't hear you, right? Then it's a situation where brother or sister, it's clearly you wrong according to the Bible, and the witnesses, the evidence bear witness that you're wrong. Why can't you apologize and let this go? So now it's upon the elders to say, well, listen, let's bring this before the church. the person to do the same thing they did amongst us and the church. And so the brothers and sisters cannot be a lynch mob against the person, but to say, listen, brother, we love you. I mean, you did wrong. Come on, just apologize. Then they'll be like, no, I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing. All right, the Bible says turn over one to Satan. So even if their body is destroyed due to the chastening, that the Christ can now use the chastening to save them in the day of judgment. Well, if you can't admit you're wrong, you're in the wrong spot. Because you got in here admitting you're wrong. Baptism. And it doesn't stop at baptism. All right? Yeah.
Somebody sent me a text, our brother in California. If you remember when we was talking about when X-Men Apocalypse, the movie came out,
Yeah.
they showed that the Great Pyramid, they found this guy named Apocalypse in there, right?
Yeah.
And the guy said, some call me Ra, some call me Krishna, some call me Yahweh.
Yeah. Some call me Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
Some call me Yahweh. I seen that.
So we didn't come out of nowhere with this. This is what it is.
Exactly. Yahweh is Satan. He's Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Last but not least, the water elders praise the Most High. The spiritual clip was unloaded. Adam and Eve, chapter 18. Because the first place has the ruin my creatures happened through thee, and now thou wouldest to kill them. Then the serpent was struck dumb and spake no more. And the wind came to blow from heaven in command of God, that carried the serpent from Adam and Eve, threw it in the seashore, and it landed in India. Woo! Oh, hey. Come on now. That's deep.
Yeah,
And that's where they built the city.
Yeah, and those guys, when you see the depiction
The
of
serpent,
they have snakes behind.
and they began to build their city in India. Hey, great precept. The water for the great teachings, elder, could you please clarify when the first flood took place? Well before, up until the time when Noah was about to build the ark, before he built the ark, he ran to Enoch and said, I'm afraid because it's shaking. So we know it was during the life of Noah that first flood happened. Okay? So when you look at the life of Noah, well before Enoch went up. So we know that war and all that, in the midst of that, when Enoch went up and he came back down and was conversing with the angels and all that, it would have had to have been around that time. Because there was war and all that going on due to the judgment written of in Enoch. Okay? So this was before Noah built the ark. It doesn't give us a chronology of exactly what age he was, but this was a time in which Enoch was going back and forth, interacting with the angels in earth. And the wars began on earth at that time. So I'm going to try to get more of an understanding to when that was, but in the East Indian lore, it breaks down to about 9,500 years ago, according to their carbon dating. But I'm not going to, I can't deal with their science. I'll do more research on it, which is scratching the surface. So
I'll read it here.
You can read it.
This is Joshua chapter 2, verse 5. And
Come on.
every man made his God, and they bowed down to them, and the sons of men forsook the Lord all the days of Enosh and his children, and the anger of the Lord was kindled on account of their works and abominations which they did in the earth.
Okay, it does give us a time period. Mm-hmm. Read on.
And the Lord caused the waters of the river Gihon to overwhelm them.
He caused the waters of the river Gihon during the time of Enosh to overcome them. Read.
And he destroyed and consumed them, and he destroyed the third part of the earth. And notwithstanding this, the sons of men did not turn from their evil way, and their hands were yet extended to do evil. This is pretty much during the time of Enosh, Seth. I believe Adam was still alive during that time.
Exactly. Period. So that's the time period it gives you. Matter of fact, I'm working on a timeline now, and I'm going to add that in. So it's around the time of Enosh that it actually happened. You can read that in the book of Joshua, the 2nd chapter. With that, shalom, may the Most High be with you. Stay prayed up. Sin not. We will soon see Zion. And thanks again, brothers and sisters, for your continued support of the work. Shalom. Thank you, Dad. Bless you.